Also pointed out that we weren't even considered human beings in its flowery language. So we kept on waiting. In 1787, we thought this nation would embrace us, but in 1821, this nation tried to embarrass us. The nation tried to get rid of us. From segregation, this nation moved to colonization.
Come on.
And then to immigration, a plan to send blacks out of the country back to Africa, to Sierra Leone, another British colony whose capital is Freetown, as in freed slaves, and sent us to Liberia, an American colony whose capital, Monrovia, is named after President Monroe. We were waiting for help from this nation, and the white lawmakers were trying to put us out of this nation. We kept waiting for help from a nation that had none to give. Within 100 years after the founding and framing of the Constitution, the highest court of this nation, the Supreme Court, rendered a decision in the Dred Scott case, which said that there are no rights that any black person has anywhere in this nation that any white person has to acknowledge, honor, or respect at any time. And we kept on waiting for help from a nation that had none to give. We kept on waiting for help from a nation that showed us, great-grandparents of the Tea Party, they showed us that they would shut this nation down, pull this nation down, tear this nation down, and spill the blood of their own sons and daughters before they ever thought of ending slavery or seeing black people as God's people. They fought a civil war to keep black folks enslaved, and they lost that war. So we thought this new government, since they lost the war, would help us in our quest for freedom and equality in a nation whose founding documents talked in that flowery language. We hold these truths to be self-evident. We kept waiting for help from a nation that had none to give. Look back across the 150 years since the Emancipation Proclamation. The nation passed one amendment that abolished slavery, 13. They passed a second amendment that made us citizens, 14. And they passed a third amendment to give us the right to vote, 15. And no sooner as they passed those amendments on the national level, the states of the nation started passing grandfather clause laws. You can vote if your grandfather voted in the last 3 elections. And our grandfathers who were enslaved did not have the vote 3 elections ago. Then came the Jim Crow laws. Then came the segregated facilities, whites over here and coloreds on this side. Then came the Ku Klux Klan, long before Krispy Kreme, KKK. Then came sharecropping. Then came the White Citizens Council. Then came the convict lease system that did not end until the 1950s. Then came Emmett Till's murder. Then came the neo-Nazi party. Then came the skinheads. Then came Nixon, Agnew, Reagan, Bush, and the veto of the Civil Rights Bill, which only tried to correct what all those other funny little laws had done. And still we kept waiting for help from a nation that had no help to give. We looked until we could look no longer for help that never came. We kept waiting for help from a nation that had none to give. We watched and we waited. Here's how Eugene Peterson translates that Lamentation verse. He says, we watched and we watched. We wore our eyes out watching, looking for help and nothing. Looking for help from a nation that had no help to give. Peterson says, we mounted the lookout towers and we looked for help that never showed up. Dr. King said he even went to the mountaintop and looked over into the promised land, but he also was looking for help that never showed up. We kept looking for help from a nation that had no help to give. Look, we got rid of the old Jim Crow, but then here come the new Jim Crow. From Ronald Reagan to Bill Clinton. Then came Clarence Thomas. Then came the murders of Troy Davis and Trayvon Martin, Oscar Grant, Jordan Davis, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Renisha Bride. Then came lies about weapons of mass destruction. Everybody loving that movie American Sniper. It was a lie. Iraq had nothing to do with the Twin Towers. Then came 2 wars that we could not win as we took the oil of the countries that we liberated. Then came Supreme Court Judge Scalia saying black votes are entitlements. We got rid of the lynch party, but then here come another party some of whose members are 2.0 upgrade of the lynch party. They call themselves the Tea Party. We looked and we waited. We kept waiting for help from a nation that had no help to give. We looked until we could look no longer for help. That never came. Well, is it all bad news? Is it all a helpless case? Are we to be forever left with a fistful of unanswered questions to go along with the pocket full of useless promissory notes? That's what Dr. King called them, on which our nation has reneged? No. Turn to your neighbor and say no. No. The key to the puzzle, the solution to this perplexing problem, the answer to these disturbing questions, key, solution, and answer are given back in that Isaiah 36 passage, as they were also echoed in the words of the Africans in this country who were living and writing poetry and singing their songs. When they finally got to the year of Jubilee. You see, the problem that some of the people in Jeremiah's day, starting with the president, King Zedekiah, the problem that some of those people had back in biblical days, and the problem that some of us have, far too many of us have in our day, still have, is that we have been looking in the wrong place.